Hello, my name is Michele, and you're listening to Profit is a Choice. Joining me on the podcast today are my sons, Harrison and Brantley. They are in their 20s and have kind of grown up with me starting businesses out of the house since I've been doing it for 20 years. Many of you, after listening to the podcast with my husband, Joel, asked if you could hear from my sons and talk a little bit about how me being an entrepreneur, having an entrepreneurial parent would also impact the kids and what they've seen and the lessons they've learned or taken. And so we're going to go back and forth today, and I'm going to ask them some questions and they're going to ask me some questions. And hopefully you'll have just a bit more of an insight into our, I would say, family entrepreneurial journey. And then maybe use some of these questions and go back and ask your own kids. I think you might be surprised at the answers. So glad you're with us today. Listen in. Every day, empowered entrepreneurs are taking ownership of their company financial health and enjoying the rewards of reduced stress and more creativity. With my background as a financial software developer, owner of multiple businesses in the interior design industry, educator, and speaker, I coach women in the interior design industry to increase their profits, regain ownership of their bottom line, and to have fun again in their business. Welcome to Profit is a Choice. Hey, Harrison. Hey, Brantley. Thanks for being on the podcast today.
Yeah, no problem. How's it going?
Good. So you guys excited?
Yeah. I wanted to be on a podcast for a while. So I'm pretty excited about it. I don't really know what to expect.
You don't know what to expect? Well, you both listened to the one with your dad. That was probably the only podcast of mine that you've listened to.
That's a fact.
Truth? Yeah. That's okay.
No, I listen to other podcasts all the time, so it's weird being in front of everybody and talking about it. Because when you're in the truck or you're doing something else, listen to a podcast, you don't see everything. It's just kind of cool behind the scenes, I guess.
Yeah. Well, so
I'm probably going to be like that and hate the way my voice sounds.
Is that right? Yeah. It'll be okay.
I hate the way the voice sounds.
You hate the way his voice sounds? Oh, we're going to be starting off really good on this podcast. So, okay, you all know my target market. We've had that conversation. And one of the things that I want to mention was, so your ages, you're 22 and 24. And when I started this business back in 2000, how interesting that we are doing this in 2020. And I started my business in 2000. And so you were 2 years old and 4 years old. So I don't think either of you really remembers me working corporate. Harrison, I had been home a year before I started this. So when I worked corporate, you were only up to about 2.5 years old.
Yeah, I remember like it was yesterday.
Like it was yesterday. So I don't really think that either of you remember that. So this is kind of all you've ever really known, right? Is having me,
you being home.
Me being home and then working out of the house. Question for you, when do you think you realized that I actually had a job? Because my first entrepreneurial journey with the two of you would have been starting the drapery workroom back in 2000 and doing custom window treatments. And so I know you saw me sewing and you saw me in the workroom because you guys came down and hung out with me and, you know, played in the other rooms and whatever. When did you actually realize that I was working when I was down there? Or did you think I was just down there playing around and sewing?
I mean, I didn't really think of you having a job and working until you started this business.
Huh.
Because when you were making window trim and stuff, it was never like a full-time set job, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, whatever those hours are. And being in one room or in an office setting working, you would go down and sew for hours on end and then leave. And they were just different. You do it at different times throughout the week.
Yeah, because a lot of it I did to work around your schedule.
Right.
You know, so it started with me doing it while you were at NAP or at preschool. And plus you were just your own awareness at that time. But that's interesting.
That's really when it didn't feel like you had a job then. But I knew you were working, but it just, I don't know, it didn't feel like a real full-time job.
Okay, so I've been doing this since 2013. So this is going into my, 7th year?
Yeah.
So you would have been middle school and you would have been graduating high school at the time that I started this. And so that does make a difference. Now, you did know that I was working when I was a partner in CHF Academy because I was traveling a lot with that. I was gone every month.
No, I'd also be in high school.
You were around 7th, 8th grade.
If you were graduating high school, I was
Yeah.
graduating.
You were ninth grade and he was 12th grade when I started this business. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't know when you started. I was in high school in 13.
Yeah. And CHF, though, when I did that and traveled every month, you were middle school and you were high school. So did you see that as work, or did you see that as different?
You started working. I mean, yeah, I saw that as work. I think it obviously started out as more of a hobby on our end that we saw. It was like, oh, mom needed something to do. Because I guess we figured you didn't have your hands full enough. With
the two of you.
Oh, mom's got to find something to do. She's bored. And then
2 kids.
Yeah. And then I guess it turned into, oh, this is like, oh, she really enjoys this. And we start building stuff for you. So, put together this big old table and clean out a whole room for you, become your workshop or your workroom. And then, then I don't know, you bought those 2 big machines down there to sew. So it's like, oh, this is a real thing mom's like doing now. Wow, this is a cool hobby because dad's got a lot of cool toys in his workroom too. And it was, you start selling them and going on install trips. And now you're president of
WCAA.
WCAA. And it's like, oh, okay, this is a really big market for, I guess, interior design that you had tapped into a little bit. And we're doing a lot of, you were, meeting with clients and you're always on the go. I think Brandon did a couple of small installs with you.
Yeah.
Dad was doing installs with you. And then, CHF, I didn't see CHF as work for you at all. I saw CHF as maybe just because of what my brain was processing when I was at that age, but I saw it as like an investment. So like, oh, this is an investment for them that they've, it has to go off of what mom is currently working on and doing now. So this is, it's just tagging along to this, and this is another outlet to help promote the Scarlet Thread and everything else. So I don't know if I necessarily saw the CHF as work. I'm sure it was, but
I didn't see CHF as work. I saw it more as something that you had to do.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I saw that more as something you didn't necessarily fully want to do, or something like you're like, oh, I have my heart poured out in this company. It's something I saw as either you do it and make it work, or you watch CHF go under.
Well, there was a little bit of truth to that. I definitely was there because I wanted to be. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I loved the people I worked with.
Maybe it was because I was there cleaning up y'all's back stock room.
You were
And
cleaning
I didn't
up.
want to be there.
I definitely say that you enjoyed it because, I mean, you
loved
took
it.
us up there multiple times. I mean, gosh, you got robbed up there and you still went back.
I did. I got robbed in the
I
parking
remember
lot.
that.
I
You had
still
that
went
little
back.
pink phone.
I
Remember
did.
that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I did drove up in the middle of, drove up at night.
We're at that Walmart, and somebody, I don't know who got a call, said mom's car got broken into.
Yeah.
Is that the Buick?
Well, yeah.
No, it was one before that. They did. Terry Boozer and I were moving things back and forth like at night into the building, and somebody robbed stuff right out of our car.
What
Yep.
happens when you leave your car unlocked?
Well, true that. Harrison, I remember you explicitly going to Barnes & Noble one time and you seeing a woman there reading the magazine that I had been putting out, the Drapery and Design Professional magazine. And you came home and you said to the woman, hey, my mom puts out that magazine. And she made a comment like, what? Like that was so random. You said, turn to the back. And she opened the back and there was my picture.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's when you came home and said, okay, this is like.
Well, first off, it's a God thing, the fact that I was in a Barnes & Noble. That alone should be a miracle in and of itself. And the second part, too, to then see somebody reading the magazine that, one, I don't even know how old I was. Obviously, I was there.
You were in high
alone,
school.
So I could drive.
Yeah.
So I was I at least had an idea of what you did in the magazine, but to then recognize it and
And
didn't
it
have the
wasn't
courage to go
sold.
up and tell the lady, hey, you ought to flip to the back and look at my mama.
Well, and what was so interesting is that wasn't even a magazine that was sold at Barnes & Noble. It was private subscription.
Yeah,
so the fact that she even had it there, yeah. But I remember you coming home and going, okay, interesting. Now I'm seeing this to be a little bit more. I've told it on the podcast before, and I'll say it again. You guys have given me grief because we do joke around here a bit, especially the two of you.
There's nothing but seriousness.
Nothing but seriousness.
All work, no play.
All work, no play. And you guys have said to me,
enough.
I don't pay you enough to play. You guys have said over the years, Mom just plays on Facebook. Mom makes money playing on Facebook. That's always been the joke because you didn't understand what I did when I was in here, but I was in Facebook groups and I was answering questions. And that's what you always said.
It really became the joke because you couldn't stand it anytime we said it. And
Yeah, it was really more of a reaction.
We knew it got under your skin when we told you just played on Facebook, so that's why it stuck.
I think it started too because we come home from school and you would be on Facebook.
But you'd been working all day.
You were on Facebook.
Insert sarcastic faces as you speak to me right now.
Well, the best part would be you come in, you're like, I'm talking to people online. And like, there'd be times you probably really would. But then there were times you're like scrolling through your timeline. I'm like, Mom just plays on Facebook. That's how she makes money. And then it stuck because she got irritated by it. So then it was just like a constant barrage of, Mom makes money on Facebook. Mom just plays on Facebook all day. That's all.
Yeah, wear a mask.
You know, people ask, what does your mom do for a living? She plays on Facebook.
She's a Facebook consultant. What's that?
You know?
I'm not entirely sure.
She just talks to people on Facebook.
Yeah, they're crazy. Question for you. Both of you had small jobs over the years working with me in the workroom. Harrison, you used to help clean up in the workroom, and I paid you to go around and get with the magnets and pick up the pins and clean up those kinds of things. You know, just the small things that you could do to make money. And Brantley, I remember you helping me pull lining and measure lining so that I could cut it. And you also went on a few installs with me to help out to do that.
You also paid me here and there to clean your workroom.
I did pay you to clean. I paid both of you to clean the workroom and
to keep
that.
$5 to clean that workroom.
That was fair at the time.
That was a terrible deal.
You were on it, man.
It's not even that big of a room.
No.
I mean, it is. But.
Child labor laws ruin this country.
Is that right? So you know what I did, which I don't know if you guys knew or not. I paid you, and then I paid the rest of the money into your savings account.
I did not know that.
Yeah. That was the one that we gave you when you graduated college.
$5 was enough.
$5 was enough. You were happy with it. So what did you think about that? Did you, an IRA, we could have started that when you were little. So what did you think about helping out in there? I know one of the things one of the questions had to do with, did it ever bother you that I had to work or chose to work? I didn't have to. I chose to work. I chose to do what I did. Did it bother you that I was down there?
No, actually, working? I think me and Brantley, maybe this is more on a selfish point of view, but when you were working, it allowed us to go do our own thing. So maybe it helped us get into more mischief, but it was never, it also, I think it forced us to, we weren't sitting in the house and you weren't having to sit there and watch us. It was hey, you guys need to go almost in a roundabout way, go grow up and do your thing. Mom's going to be in here and work. And she's, because again, we saw it as a hobby too, but we knew you were making money with it. So it was like, well, you know, don't mess with Mom's hobby. And I always remember when we were cleaning your workroom, it was, hey, we're here to clean. And we go get into something, start looking at something like, oh, don't touch that. Mom needs that. And then, you know, all that kind of stuff. So
that's true, because I was working and I did have deadlines to meet. So I couldn't helicopter you the whole time.
No.
You had chores to do, you had homework to do, and then you had you had
played in the yard and
played outside, and you had things to do, and I watched you and knew what you were into, but I couldn't sit there with you like you said. I didn't sit and entertain you all day because I worked.
No, you didn't. You definitely. I mean, I remember especially in the summertime when we were home. We got ourselves up. A lot of mornings, if you had not made breakfast, and when I mean my mom makes breakfast, unless it's Sunday morning, generally it means she's cooked something and you can heat it up. It's on the stove. It's not a bad thing, but it was, she let us do our own thing, and she went down and worked. And
but as soon as
we got up, it was.
As soon as it hit 11:30, if you weren't out of the bed, she was getting you out of that bed.
Yeah, I mean, she was on your tail. She was, she was very much hey, have you read the book for this summer? Did you do your summer reading? You know, that was always the worst. But
I always lied. Said yes.
It shows.
I'm never.
So, one of the things with that summer, because I did an episode about summer, and we'll make sure we link that in the show notes at the bottom, especially came with that whole guilt as being a parent, having a job at home. You guys wanted to get up and go play. I had work to do. So one of the things I did was I let you sleep in the mornings. I didn't force you to get up. But you had chores to get done, and the rule was I'll try to be done by lunch. If you get up, get all your reading, your chores, whatever done by lunch, then we can go to the pool in the afternoons. And so that might have also been why it felt hobbyist to you guys, is because I got up super early and worked late after you went to bed so that you could have some summer fun and, go to the pool and go to the zoo or go to the Six Flags or whatever it was that your friends were doing. We did a lot of stuff with other people. We just did it after lunch.
The afternoon. So it was always, like you said, hey, you guys get your stuff done. Mom's going to get her stuff done. So I guess we made a category as Mom's got to do this like we have to do our chores, however, we were at the time. But everyone get their stuff done, and like you said, in the afternoon, we go do something.
Right. Did that ever bother you, or did it just seem normal?
No, I think it just seemed like, hey, this is someone's got to clean this crap up around this house. So boys, go do your chores. Mom's going to go clean her workroom, or Mom's going to go do this. And sometimes you wouldn't even be working. You had to take the time to go do mom stuff, which was
Right.
groceries sometimes, or help
Errands,
do
yep.
laundry, or there was always something that,
Right.
that's a busy job.
I remember a conversation that we had with you all one time. You were saying, I wish mom didn't have to work. I wish we could go do this, or I wish we could go do that. And I remember us sitting down as a family. You guys were little, so you may or may not even remember this. And I remember your dad making the comment, we all have work to do. We all have to work. This is what my work looks like. And he described his.
Mm-hmm.
This is what mom's work looks like. This is what her work allows us to do extra in the family. This is what it brings in. It allows for soccer and cleats and braces and all those things. And here's what your job is as a member of this family. And if you do what you do, it makes it easier on mom and I to then have the time to spend back with you. But if you don't do it, we have to do. I mean, it's got to be done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those things have to be done. But if we all pull our weight as a family, then we all get to go have fun and play and not have that. Do you remember that conversation at all? Or do you just remember that being the way that it was, that you had things to do and it was required?
I remember that conversation and all, but I'm not saying it probably definitely 100% happened. I don't just have a immediate recall of it.
So was it just the way you thought?
Kind of the way it was. It was, hey, listen, dad's going to go to work in the morning. He's going to come home in the afternoon. And then mom's going to, usually you were the one when the school year was happening, you were the one before we started out in school to help get us to school, whether it was get us to the bus stop or drop us off in carpool. It was, that was the thing. And then it was, all right, mom's going to go to work and then she's going to pick us up. We get home. There was never a mom sat down and helped with the homework, or mom sat down and babysat. It was, all right, boys, get your stuff done. Yeah, essentially pull your weight. This is your weight. Is when you come home, you have your chores and your homework to do. Then you can go outside and play. Mom's going to go back downstairs and do her work that she has to do. And it was just an understood thing. It was never, I don't ever remember questioning him being like, oh, well, Mom, why do you have to do that? It was listen, I mean, maybe it's just because we saw adults worked. But
well, I mean, I'll have a different side of that story. When I was in private school and stuff, Mom had to go take classes to learn how to tutor me.
Mm-hmm.
So she had to put her work on hold
Mm-hmm.
or get up earlier in the morning and get more of it done and work faster and harder. So when I got home every Tuesday and Thursday, we could go sit outside on a blanket and you could tutor me so I could learn how to read. And I mean,
we spent a lot of time.
We spent a lot of time on that. And
we learned how to do math with candy corn. That was fun.
That was fun.
No, that's a disgusting candy.
You watch your language.
Watch your candy.
No, but for you to say Mom didn't sit down and do homework with you and stuff like that, it was a little different for me, where she would kind of have to sit down and help me with my homework, because you don't remember this and you don't know this, Harrison, but when you would be outside playing with all our neighbors and riding bikes around, I would be sitting in here watching you guys play because I couldn't finish my homework because I was too busy being distracted by you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So Mom got upset because she didn't realize why I just wasn't able to get the school. So she went and got certified to tutor me so she could help me go out and go play.
Mm-hmm. That was second grade. So that in third we could get you done.
Say, go out and play and we'll do your homework when we get back.
Right.
Because if I got home and started my homework, I wasn't going to go outside and play. I was going to work until dinner and then after dinner and go to sleep because I couldn't get it.
Right. And that was the beautiful thing about getting you in private school for the dyslexia, is that you were able to then come home and play in the afternoon. But that second grade and third, was it second and third? Those were hard. It was third grade. That was a seriously difficult year for all of us. That was the year, though, Brantley. I don't know that you know this.
But it didn't slow down her work.
So I did a podcast. I did a podcast on it, and you know what it did? It was the one that we talked about scaling. So we'll add that one to the show notes. What that did was it made me make the determination that I wanted to make the same amount of money, but I had almost half the time to work because I needed to spend all that time not only helping you, but it took me hours of prep work because we were doing an Orton-Gillingham method. And it took me hours of prep work and meeting with other Orton-Gillingham tutors to have it ready to help you when you got home. So I spent hours prepping to spend an hour with you so that you could play and get your reading up to par, right?
Yep.
And that meant my work took a hit. I had been director of the women's ministry at our church, and I stopped that. I stopped all of my extracurricular everything so that I could do all that. But it made the biggest difference in my business because I charged more, I took higher level work, and I knew that I had to work. I had less time to work. And so it actually made a huge impact on my business. So we would have looked at it as this could have killed my business. It actually helped me be more efficient and effective in what I was doing by being able to step in and help you. So you're right. We do have different.
But to that point, you didn't work as much then as you do now.
Correct. I didn't.
You work a lot more now. You wouldn't be able to take off. You wouldn't be able to do what you do now, get everything done, and then say if you had to tutor one of us, you wouldn't be able to do that now.
So let's talk about that, because what I've done there is I started my business, as you both said, while you were small, working around you. Your dad even said on the podcast, you heard him, I worked up in, I don't know if you even remember this, you were so little, but I did it in the sitting room of our bedroom. And I worked while you were at Mother's Morning Out, you were in preschool, or after you went to bed at night. And so there was a lot of late night working for me. So you probably didn't see it. Mm-hmm. And then as you guys aged, my business became more and more and more. I chose to be mom first. And we were in a position where your dad made a great income, that I had that luxury, right, to put raising you guys first. But I also knew that I needed something to do for me. And so I was able to find a way to carve that out. And then as you aged, my business took on more and more. I would have never taken on CHF and traveled and worked like I did there. There were nights I was sitting up in the middle of the night in our closet working. And I would have never have done that if you guys had been elementary. But you were middle school, high school.
Such a small room.
I know, I did. It was because I woke up and my brain started going. And so now it has scaled to, it's a full-time job all the time. All right, so I'm going to start asking you a couple of the questions that were sent in, and tell me what you think. The first question that was sent in was, what do you admire most, and what's the most difficult thing about living with an entrepreneurial mom? So let's start with the first part. What do you admire most about having entrepreneurial mom? I guess, and for others, it could be an entrepreneurial parent. But for you, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's the ambition is what you admire, and the drive. That's definitely cool to see. It's a great thing I think it's great. I think it definitely helped. What am I trying to say? As a little kid, seeing somebody in your family that you're close to have true raw ambition for something that they care and love, I think that was important. And I really admire that you've stuck with it, and we see it every year, and your ambition grows. The most difficult part would be mom, where is this? Why is this? Blah 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 blah. And then it was, hold on, I'm busy. So it was when we were children and we needed attention immediately, or so we thought, or we wanted to demand attention immediately, it was hey, guess what, pal? You're not the center of attention at the moment. Mom's doing other things. So I think that was probably the most difficult part, was learning, oh, hey, mom's working right now. Let mom work. Can this question wait till later? Is Brantley bleeding from the head? Yes or no? No. Okay. Yeah. Can this question wait till after dinner? Yes. Okay.
Which if I had still worked corporate and wasn't at home, the questions would have to wait.
Right.
It was about the proximity. I was close to you, so it felt like you could just ask whatever, whenever. And then I didn't give in to that.
Yeah, you definitely helped put up that wall. They literally be like, is Brantley bleeding from the head? No, Brantley is not dying. Okay. Can this wait? Yes. Okay. And then it was hey, you're going to wait.
But I tried to make time for you to
then. And then there were times, hey, Mom, I know this right now. You're able to, give me a quick second. We'd sit down and share quietly. And we still do that. We'll walk in like, hey, Mom, what about? And you're like, hold on. And you sit there for a minute and click through some stuff, and then talk for a quick moment, and she gets back to it.
That, or you walk in and you say hi, and she goes, hey, how was your day? And you start telling her what you did at work, and she's just typing away on the computer and says, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I think now we police it more than she does. Like, we'll come back.
Yeah, so I just turn around and walk out of the
room. We'll come back.
So, Brantley, what about you? What did you admire most, and what do you find most difficult about living with an entrepreneurial mom?
Definitely the drive and ambition. It's probably what I admire the most. What I can't stand the most is where we're all able to leave work. Like when I leave the job site, I can't do anything on the job site when I get home. So I'm not at work. I can turn it off. You don't ever turn it off. You can't put work away from sitting at home. When we're at dinner, you're still thinking about work sometimes. After dinner, you'll sometimes come in here and do more work. And Dad and I have to ask you to stop doing the work and sit down and watch TV with us for 30 minutes before we go to bed. I'm not saying you can't turn it off. You can. It's more difficult as an entrepreneur because you live in the house and you work in the house. So
yeah, I think too, you're the only person, like we had talked about in a previous conversation about a week or two ago. You are the only person in your company. So if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. So if something has to get done,
I'm either the one who does it or I'm directing it to be done by the
It's
multiple subs that I have.
It's got to go through you kind of thing.
Right.
And that's a lot of stuff to handle. But I totally get not being able to turn off the work. I mean, with what I did, that's not an easy thing to, you work, go to work. I haven't worked in office, so I go to work and, do whatever it is I got to do that day. And then now, before I had a 15-minute ride home, but now I have, about an hour to get back to my house. So it's, I decompress. You don't ever get that.
Right.
You get a 10-step walk to the kitchen or to the living room or to wherever anyone else is. And that's your decompression. So you never actually leave work. You wake up and you go to work, and when you're done with work, you're literally, it's like living in your office.
Yes.
So
it is different.
It's not an easy thing.
How do you think me becoming an entrepreneur has inspired you?
I mean, I guess it really, it's just been, I want to find that ambition for something I want to do or what I love or what I enjoy. I mean, if you put your mind to it, you can do it. It really is. Don't be afraid to take a risk. Be smart and be calculated about it. But definitely don't be afraid to jump into deep end a little bit.
What about you, B?
I don't know. I mean, this kind of goes back to the first question. Ambition and the drive is what's inspiring. And just the fact that you were able to say, all right, well, probably doing the window treatment business isn't something I want to do long term, or I kind of have now another passion to coach people and that kind of stuff. So you were able to put one thing that was at first a goal and a passion of yours that kind of simmered out. You were able to slowly turn that down and pick up another goal, and you just find more goals and you go after them. And you very rarely don't meet your goals.
I was going to say, to feed off that too, I think it's inspiring to know that you have chosen the ability to switch over from, I enjoy doing this, to, hey, this ain't going to make me the money I want to make or help meet the goals I want to make or help. This isn't a challenge for me anymore. You still have the wherewithal to say, all right, I'm still going to stay in with what I do, but I'm going to go with this goal, and this is how I'm going to attack this problem. And I think it's cool that this isn't just a hobby that's gone rogue and that it's just doing its own thing. This is a very manufactured, well thought out, and very calculated business that you're doing. And hey, I put a lot of passion, and not just this is fun and this is enjoyable. This is your job. You've thought through every step of it, and you're putting in the work. And I think that's inspiring alone. Is you're not just some other lady who's sitting at home having a hobby. It's like, oh, this is fun to do. You're doing this because it brings you real joy, and because you have goals you want to meet.
It's interesting. When I started just doing the window treatments in 2000, I loved it. And then I was able to twist a little bit and go in and work at CHF, which I loved as well. And then after I ended up getting so sick in 2012 and then having all the nerve damage to my arm, that's what actually made me have to back off the workroom, because I couldn't physically do the work like that anymore. Because your dad and I actually, I don't know if our family room is 2 stories. We had talked about closing in the whole top and moving that and making it all my workroom and making it larger. But then my arm didn't participate in that. And so I had to do something different. And this was a natural progression for that. So it is nice to be able to stay in the same industry, but to do different things within that industry. Mm-hmm. And I think I'd love for that to be a legacy for the two of you, is that if you're in an industry that you love, wherever you start is not where you have to end up. You can start doing one part of it, learn everything about it, move to another part of it. That's how that's how I can talk to workrooms and designers. I've done most of those things, and I've had a career in that, and it gives me insight. Experience and expertise and insight that I wouldn't have if I had not done that.
Yeah, experience can't be bought and it can't be faked. So.
Nope, it cannot. One of the things that I've also done, and your dad and I have done together, is we are a goal-setting family. Not uber goal-setting, not crazy goal-setting, but I just put a picture out of our New Year's celebration, and we started doing that as soon as we could get you to sit still, because we had hot grease at the table. But we do every year a fondue, and we used to set a lot of family goals where you guys would tell us where you wanted to go on vacation, or did you want to go to a Braves game, or what were some of the things you wanted to do. And we talked about our physical goals, our spiritual goals, our health goals, vacation goals. And we used to write them on a sheet of paper and then put them in order of money and time, so that when the money came available or the time came available, we knew where to start. We prioritized them all. And then I remember even now, I show you all. I've invited you in to look at my profit and loss statements. I show you those things as a way of holding myself accountable. And I know, Brantley, we sat down and went through, and I helped you go through accounting by inviting you into my QuickBooks accounts and showing you what it actually looked like in a real business instead of it being a made-up theory within your accounting class, right? So I've invited you guys into the business at whatever level, whether it was starting by cleaning up a workroom or now looking at business goals. Harrison, you and I have had a lot of conversations about profitability and about time and
Looked at a lot of
job costing
data
and things like that. Yep, you've built spreadsheets for my business. So you guys have been invited in all along the way. Do you think that's made an impact on you at all?
For sure it did. You mean specifically the goal
Just
setting?
any of it, yeah. Well, the goal setting, like,
Yeah, it's a great tradition that we do every year. It's fun to look back and be like, hey, look, this person didn't make their goals. Let's pick at them for a minute. Oh, this person didn't make their goals. Congratulations. And like you said, there's definitely an accountability, because I know at one point you're like, I would like my company to meet this benchmark. And then, 3 months in, you're like, I'm halfway there. And then we're like, Mom, you set your goal too low. And then, Mom, like, well, you're right. I need to adjust that. Or, we're 3/4 through the year and you're halfway there. And like, Mom, what's going on here? You going to pick this up, or what are you doing here? It's not a hobby anymore. Come on now. What are you doing here?
but it did give us great conversation.
It did give great conversation. And it's definitely something I would want to do whenever I have a family. I think goal setting is important. So,
but we made it fun too. I mean, I think that's what's important. We made it fun, and we chose
everything
goals.
we do is fun.
Yeah, is that right?
Mm.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So here's the next question: what lessons did your parents instill in you that have led you into adulthood with success? Brantley, what about you?
Know what you believe in and why. So whether it's a moral thing, if it's a faith thing, if it's a logical explanation on something, or why you're making a decision, or that, it's always know what you believe and why you believe it, because it's going to be tested as soon as you get out of this house. And all my friends were very, very quick to tell me how deep into conversations you get. Mom, you love asking the deep questions. You love it. So I think that's always helped us when we go out in the real world and somebody asks me a deep question or a personal question or a controversial question. It doesn't really rattle me because I've grown up with it. So it's just kind of like, oh, well, here we go again.
Yeah, I think it definitely. What was the question?
Wow. Be prepared.
No, I had my thought. Oh,
The lessons that your parents
The questions are in
instilled.
front of you. Read the list.
The lessons your parents instilled.
Oh, yeah.
in you.
What I was going to say is very similar to what Brent was saying. Is definitely know what you believe in. Because I remember when I went to college, it was the same thing. Even whether it was something that was faith-based, and, I was going to what was that organization that I went to for like BCM, whatever. It was real goofy. Went in there and spoke to them, and some of the guys had different beliefs on things than I did. Or it was going to class and listening to an extremely liberal professor have his idea or opinion on something, like, one, it was listen back and say, hey, where are they coming from? And then two, of, hey, this is, it wasn't necessarily a judgment on their end. It was hey, how does this strengthen what I believe, or how does this help point out a flaw in what I believe? How can I readjust that, or gives me more to think remember, and
we definitely have deep conversation, not all the time.
Yeah, and
it's led me into many debates with professors in class, especially I remember it was my freshman year in like World Literature 2 or something. We were talking about the Romanticism era, something like that. And the professor decided to bring in the whole Christianity topic, and I like to sit back quietly and just listen to what other people have to say. And then next thing you know, me and the professor are debating, and it was
respectful though.
Yeah, that one was, absolutely.
But it's nice to have an opinion. Here's what we told you. What does your dad always say? He says, know what you stand for or you'll fall for anything.
Stand for something, you'll fall for.
Yeah, and he's constantly said that. And his other big thing he said to you over the years is, if it were
easy, everybody would do it.
If it were easy, everybody would do it.
That's one of the reasons that I think we've grown up to be, or I have grown up to be successful. Harrison's still out there. Was because we know what we believe and why we believe it. Now, that stuff changes over time,
sure,
obviously, but it's okay to change an opinion.
That's right.
And I think the other thing that they help
Excuse me.
Oh, you're not?
I am now. Go ahead.
I think the other thing that they helped instill us was, if you're going to do it, then do it. Don't sit there
Don't
and
talk
talk about, oh, I'm going to do this. Well, all right, then go do it, dude. What's your plan? How are you going to do this? Have you thought this through? That was another thing
that also really irks me. Sometimes I don't want to do things that are thought through. I can't stand it. I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to do something and mom and dad question me, well, have you thought about this? No, I haven't. Why? Because I don't really want to right now.
It's fine. I'm a very
and I'd rather just walk in blind and deal with it when it punches me in the face than having to sit down with a well thought out plan. Forget that.
It's funny. I'm a well thought out plan person. I'm very much like mom. And then recently I've had I think I'm going to be impulsive today.
Yes.
Go do something.
Being impulsive is the best, and mom hates it for some reason.
It's not. It's my lowest strength. It's chaos. I have to plan to be impulsive.
In chaos.
Okay.
It's so much fun.
It needs to be thought out and planned.
Absolutely.
And I tell people all the time, I'm very good at being quick on my feet, having hard conversations and direct conversations. But there are times when someone asks me a question, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need to process that a little bit, because that's off the wall. I can't just
when things hit the fan, I'm good to go.
You're my boy. I'll call you.
When
You're
it
my
gets
guy.
impulsive, count me in. When you have to make plans, leave that to other people.
Call Harrison.
Yeah.
Harrison's my
So
plan.
if you guys ever need stuff done and planned out, whether it's an hour in advance or 3 months in advance, call Harrison. If you want someone, hey, just come look at this and fix it, call me. I'll be there.
You know what's funny?
Make it work.
I don't know if I've told you this before, but I've always said that Harrison was the child of my head, because we think so much alike. And I've always said
I'd be the one to go to jail, so that speaks volumes.
It haven't happened yet. But you were the child of my heart.
That speaks volumes.
You would be
Because
the one to go to jail.
you're the feeler. You feel more. You're emotional. You're a little more impulsive than he is. One of the other things that we instilled in both of you, I think, I'm curious to see if you think so as well, is we made you own your choices, own your thoughts, own your, you had to own your stuff.
Consequences were definitely real growing up. If you did something, there was consequence to it, and there was none of this, well, you can, unless it was like the nuclear option of, you're grounded for a year. We always knew that was BS.
We were never grounded. We were put on restriction.
That's what grounded was. It was a restriction,
which was worse because we were never restricted that long. They just it petered out. They forgot.
But there was always a consequence. It was if something happened, there's an immediate consequence if it's something you were told.
And don't let dad get a phone call.
Oh gosh, no, dad doesn't need to come home. Bad news bear.
Well, I think that's good parenting. Let me ask you this.
Sidetrack.
Yeah. This is a question. How has your mom's pride in her business, after all the highs and the lows, affected what you all seek in your future professions and lifestyles? I think you kind of mentioned some of it, but was there anything else that you've watched the highs and the lows, and you've watched me fight through the highs and the lows?
Yeah, I think something that I've taken away most recently in the past 5 to 6 years was it's okay to not like your jobs at time. It's okay to have to go through part of a day or a work where you hate your job. You don't want to be there. You want to go home. You want to do something else. You wish you can just turn it off and not work that day. Or, man, these clients are getting on my nerves. Or, man, I really don't want to talk to this person today. I'm not in the mood. It's okay to have those about work. And it's okay to hate your job every now and then.
Man, it's like we said at the breakfast table. If they didn't pay us, I don't think we'd be there. Yeah, we don't.
And what did I say?
Yeah, you were the one person who was like, yeah, well, if they don't pay me, I'd still do it. And we're all like, that's stupid.
I'd be looking for something else they pay me for.
But I love it. I love it. And that goes back to the ambition and the passion about what I do. But Brantley, that
doesn't put dinner on the table.
Well, I said I would be independently wealthy to not get paid. I didn't say I did have a caveat there.
I wasn't listening.
You didn't listen to that.
If I was a billionaire, would I do this for fun? Maybe.
Yeah, I would. But here's the thought behind all of that. No matter how much and this I think was to your point, Brantley, no matter how much you love what you do, there are still very difficult days in that. And it doesn't mean that you have a passion for something, you love it, and it's always at the top of the mountain. I mean, there are deep valleys. There are days that we're just like, this is trudging through mud. But the next day, it's kind of like the Bible verse that says, God's mercies are new every morning. The next day is a new day, and we start over again. We keep going, keep pushing through.
Dad always said too, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
And there's always seasons where you're going to go through where it's a growing season. I know I'm going through one right now in what I do. And so it's, I actually enjoy the growing seasons more because I always find when I'm on top of the mountain, there's only one way, and it's down. So I actually would rather be going up instead of going down, because down is not very fun.
It's a good
So
point.
It's harder on the knees.
But it is harder on the knees. Get some good boots, ankle support. But, like you were saying, how does that have, when watching your business, how's that helped us? It's definitely been keep going, don't stop. Just because you hit adversity or something got hard doesn't mean you quit. In fact, when something gets hard, that's when you really need to sink your boots in and really dig in and sit down and think about what you're doing. Or in Brantley's term, just whim it, So
Wing it.
whim it, do it on a whim, same thing.
No,
It's close.
you're butchering this.
What's the best advice you think I gave you?
Give me a second. Harrison.
I'm trying to think of a mom quote.
I don't have as many quotes like your dad does.
Boys, stop fighting.
That was a good one.
Eradicate entrepreneurial poverty.
Yes, profit first. I got you both signed copies, made you do
You
this.
just read that off the coffee mug. That doesn't count. That's bull.
I saw that. I was like,
He was trying.
either that or the original plumber.
We're not going to do that one.
Also, December 19th, liked him, ! So it's a good thing that we have a good plumber. I
We
guess.
do have a good plumber now. I'm going to talk to that. But Dad, he did taught you, we both taught you hard work. We both taught you to get up and go. We taught you to be honest people. We taught you the value of your work. Mm-hmm.
Definitely hard work was one.
If you're gonna do something, make sure it's well enough to put your name on it, or don't do something that you're not gonna
Be proud of.
be proud of. And if you're gonna do something and your name's gonna be on it, you want people to look at that and either see your name and be like, oh, that was a job well done, or
Right. That's
or
true.
be proud of
Pride
it.
in your work is definitely one that you guys have helped instill. Whether it was, I don't know if it's a piece of advice, but I think it's more of an attitude and a lifestyle that you embody. Like Brandon said, I'm putting my name on it, and I'm gonna be proud of it, and it's because it's got my seal of approval, and I've given it my all.
Here's one of the things your dad said too. He's great with quotes. I think it was from being the Scoutmaster. We had to give those Scoutmaster minutes. But one of the ones that he used to always say is, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right.
Moderation is for cowards.
Is that right?
That's another good one.
Yeah, I think Dad told me that once. But Dad also told me, why can you never see elephants in a tree? Because they're dang good at it. So,
Well, I guess we should balance.
Just to put things in perspective.
We should balance all that,
That's
I
a
guess.
pretty good quote, though.
Oh,
Think about it.
Why
gosh.
can't you see an elephant hiding in a tree? I don't
'Cause
know,
they're
Dad.
good at
Why? Because they're dang good at it. Well, all right.
Think about that.
Thanks.
What could you see me doing if I weren't an entrepreneur?
I can't.
Oh, I know what you'd be doing.
Oh, you do?
Facebook.
And that would be Facebook.
What would I be doing?
She'd be top honcho at some corporate business.
Yeah,
making
I would.
Yeah, you do.
Oodles on oodles and oodles of money.
You think?
Oh, you'd be boss lady for sure. You can't not be boss lady.
No.
Well, that's true.
That's just your personality and how well you work.
Well, I said when I was younger, I said, I don't want to have to clean my house. Mimi used to tell me I needed to clean up. And I would say, I don't want to do it. And she would say,
I don't wanna
Michele,
do it either.
what are you
She's
going
got
to do? Are you going to have somebody clean it for you? I said, yes, ma'am, I am.
And she had kids.
And I had you. And then after you, I got a cleaning service.
Glorified indentured servants.
And then she asked me what I wanted to do. And I said I was going to run a company. And so at first I thought it was going to be a corporate company. And then it just became my own. So I'll give you that. That was good. What did you hate growing up, if anything, due to me working? Probably not getting the answers that you wanted exactly when you wanted them. That was one of the
Maybe it
things.
was the attention, but I think that was more when you're a kid, you're more selfish in that manner. Now we get it. When we come in and we're like, hey, I'm busy. We're like, I got it.
Was there anything you
wasn't
hated?
really a
That too.
hate.
Yeah,
I didn't really
I-
hate anything because you worked. It was never
It wasn't a hate thing. It was more of a, oh, this is annoying, or this is not as I liked. But one of them was, anytime we walk in to say hello after a day or to tell you something, you're still typing away. Always. You don't stop. It was like you'd stop for a minute, but you always had something on your mind where you had to get back to finish something.
Mhm.
The disconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
I wish there was a switch I could reach back here and just
Turn it off.
yeah.
because so that you'd be fun. Like we
I
had
think
last
there
night,
was
we-
times that
we
I
go
could just turn it
do
off.
things, but I think that
I think
the
that's
most
something you
irritating
had.
is you
That was the
don't turn
most
it off.
irritating is you had a harder time making sure you were able to turn it off.
To be present in that moment.
Because I couldn't tell you how many times we've sat at a dinner table and your head was just still kind of grinding. Or at the dinner table, you were fine about it. After dinner table, me and Dad would come in and sit on the couch and watch TV or do something, and you'd be back in here and
Right.
we'd be like,
Have you noticed
Get
that
outta
within
here.
the last probably 3 years, when I'm done, and I don't come back in here?
yes
the
and
most
no.
You used to have the lap desk you brought in.
I don't take my laptop around
It's good
anymore.
that you have the
I don't
desktop
take
there.
an iPad in there anymore. The most I do is look at my phone like you guys do. But your dad and I made that. I've shifted my work hours to be done when he gets home because he's shifted his work hours. So I'm usually done by 5:30 most days now.
And now, too, I've noticed, too, especially in the last couple of years, your ability to take vacations has, and when I say take vacations, I don't mean physically go somewhere. I mean,
Mentally.
when you go somewhere, you're mentally, you can check out. And it's because you plan accordingly. Tell everyone, hey, don't talk to me. This is my week to vacate. So it's definitely been cool to see you be able to do that recently in the last couple of years. You still bring your laptop stuff, but usually you come up for lunch from the beach or something and you'd be up there typing away on emails. And now I'm probably the person doing that in the family. But it's cool to see you be able to come upstairs or go wherever and make some lunch and do whatever it is that you want to do and not feel like you have to be tied to a computer or answering email
Right.
at every beck and call.
Yeah,
It's cool to be able that you do actually get to check out for that week.
I've really worked hard at that. Question, what do you think you will look for in a wife based on living with a strong, successful mom? I did not write that question, but I'd be curious in that answer. What do you think you look for in a wife?
Well, it's a little easier of a question for me personally.
Because you found your special someone.
Yeah. And I think Mandy is very good at, she is career driven, but she's also family oriented.
Good.
So it's okay to be career driven, but when you are career driven, you have to have a mix of family in it. So that's why you're not family driven, you're not career driven, you're career driven with your family oriented. So, your drive and passion is you want to make sure you have a good career and do stuff, but you're oriented by your family. Your family's what kind of
grounds
you, turns the steering wheel, and
I like that.
And I think some of that has to be taught. You can't just have that right out of college. You can't have that at 22 and 23. In Harrison's case, 24, 25. You have to learn some of that for sure. And that's going to change depending on your family dynamic.
I think what's cool about Mandy too is that she can have great conversation with you. So when we talked about that,
it's terrible.
I loved the fact that even when I first met her, she can answer questions, hold her own. She knows what she believes. She knows why, but she's easy. She's just easy to talk to and to be with. And so I can see that being a good balance for you as well.
So I think
she's strong. She's a strong woman.
And that's what I look for. I wouldn't have done well if I found someone who was more career driven than I am. Because I'm career driven, but I'm a very big family person. But you have to find the right balance. You can't find somebody who has no drive or no passion in their career field.
That wouldn't have worked for you either, you don't think?
You can't find somebody who's over driven, who's like, I don't want to do anything for the first 8 years. I want to have a career. I want to do it. I'm like, that's fine, but it doesn't fit with me, so it doesn't work.
That's a good point. You got to find what fits for you. What about you, Harrison? What do you think as you think about your future? What is it that you think you've learned from having a strong mom, career driven, and I love that family focused and centered?
Yeah, definitely is family focused. Ambition, the big one. Lack of complacency is another one too. I don't like it when people are complacent. And that's something, because I'm not a very complacent person and stuff like that. So finding someone that can also balance me out, though, in that aspect of, how to look back. But, some attributes would definitely be, Brantley said he didn't want someone as more career-driven than him. I think it would be interesting to date somebody who was more career-driven than me, because I'm pretty career-driven.
I think that you guys would kill each other. I do not think that.
The reason I said I don't want somebody more career-driven than me is you're spending your whole life working.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're spending your whole life working, you're spending more time with the people you work with than you do your family. So I want somebody who's more family driven than career driven, because if you're just so career driven all the time.
No, yeah, it's a balance aspect. That I was just saying it'd be interesting.
For me?
For him.
Me.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about for me.
No, for him.
That would be interesting. That would be terrible.
For me, I was saying.
Could you imagine him with somebody more driven than him? That'd be like me. And that would not last. It wouldn't work. I'm telling you, I love you with my whole heart. That would not work. We would fight all the time.
Two would stab each other in the feet. That's essentially shooting yourself in the foot and trying to run a mile.
That's right.
I think it's going to be, I value ambition, family, obviously, passion, family, lack of complacency, moving forward and always not looking back on stuff like that. I'm trying to find something that's insightful. I don't know if you have any at the moment.
That's fine. We'll move on. How hard do you think you are on the people around you? Somebody said who didn't grow up and learn what we learned. Like people
Talk
that
about a daily struggle.
I'm pretty difficult on the people I'm around. My friends.
be kind, boys.
There's some high expectations to meet.
Because
Yeah,
that's the
there
hard
is.
part.
There is.
We've had high
I'll say that,
expectations as
yeah.
a family. Even just
Even going back
personal.
to the previous question of there are some high expectations.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm polite and I'm kind to people, but I'm very when someone messes up, I'll make sure they realize they've messed up. Like, you better own it. Like I had to own it. If you're gonna mess up, you need to make sure you own the fact that you messed up, and then we can talk about how to fix it. But
you guys weren't allowed to blame anybody else.
no, I'm very much
You
so.
ain't the only cupcake in the world either.
Right.
So
We made you at least own your own choices.
I'd be interested to see what my friends would say about that, because I'm pretty tough on.
On yourself too?
Yeah, I'm the meanest person to myself.
I got to work. I need to coach you
I
guys
agree
through
on
that.
I mean,
The verbal abuse I give to myself on a daily basis of criticism, stuff like that, is high. But
it's just called being tough.
Yeah, I can't do that. Everyone used to always tell you, treat others the way that you would want to be treated, or you treat yourself. No, you don't want me to treat you how I treat myself. That's not going to be a good thing.
All right. I need to set up another coaching call with just the two of you then, because that is not good.
I think it's more of just an expectation of it's hey, one step forward, keep moving.
But how many times do I tell you as well, we have to give ourselves grace. And that goes for you guys too. You have to give yourself grace, because things don't always go the way you think they're going to go, right? We got to have some of that flexibility
I think
there.
I'm a little bit more on the side of, compared to Harrison. No offense, Harrison. I'm going to drag you under the bus for a second.
I've been dragged under a few. It's okay.
There it is. When someone messes up or something happens, something breaks, something screwed up, Harrison will also, like me, he'll let you know something's messed up and it needs to be fixed. But Harrison is much more of a, well, if you broke it, I'm going to push you out of the way and I'm going to fix it. I'm going to do it myself. If you don't, you mess it up the first time, I don't trust you in doing it the second time, so I'm going to do it. And I feel like that sticks with Harrison a little bit more. However, if something happens, I'm much more of the, all right, well, there's nothing we can do about it now, let's fix it.
Right.
And
some of that gets eased out over time. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
Meaning I probably was a lot more self-abusive as a 20-something-year-old because my expectations were so high. And I've learned over the years that didn't get me where I wanted to go. All it did was beat me down. It didn't help me. And so I learned other ways of handling that, managing that became more positive in nature, so that I didn't keep turning on that terrible recording in my
It's been
head.
something that I've been working on recently of, hey, it's okay to mess up.
That's right.
You know, but one of the guys
We learn more in the failures. It's
one
like
of the
you
guys
said.
at my office that I work with, my superintendent told me, he said, you only know what you know. And I used to beat myself up on stuff that let's say I messed something up. I'm like, wow, you dummy. How could you, blah, 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 blah. How could you do this? What were you thinking? And, then when I heard that, I was like, oh, wait a second. As long as I gave it my best that I knew at the time, what else did you expect? You're not going to be perfect. You don't know everything. You're not going to know everything, but you only know what you know. So as long as you make the best decision and you give it your all, knowing what you know, then I'm working now not to be mad and beat myself up. The times I am very critical on myself are more when I know that I slacked off, when I know I didn't give it my all, when I know, I should have done that better. I knew I should have done that, but I did this anyways. Or, I should have taken this path when I did that path, or maybe I should have researched this and done my homework more. Those are the times when I usually will crucify myself because I knew better. It's rarely now that I crucify myself, get upset with myself or beat myself up when it's something that's like completely out of my control, or I just never would have known. I never would have known to go look.
You had no experience in that.
Yeah, and that's just part of growing up and learning.
So how do you think you'll parent?
Fire brimstone, baby.
You will not.
No, I think it's very, very similar to how you guys were. Definitely, it's a tough love, but there's 100% love. It's hey, this is a safe space.
There's 100% accountability.
There's 100% accountability. If you do something, there are consequences. But they can
Good
be
and
good, and they can also be bad. So, and then the other thing too that I think you guys helped instill in us was critical thinking, and that's definitely something for some reason I feel like our generation lacks for some reason, or maybe that's just not something that's taught in schools anymore. But thinking outside the box and problem solving, that's what I feel like everyone's job nowadays when you get older is problem solving. So it's definitely something that I want to be like, hey, I want to make sure that's something that
just tone in on my family.
I remember some of the questions we would ask you guys, especially in middle school. That's where we started a lot of it, was you would tell us something that was going on, and your dad and I would say, well, what do you think you should do about that? Or what do you see there? Or why do you think that?
Mm-hmm.
Back to that, what is your belief system and what were you basing it on? And then you learned to take that and then use it in different areas of life by us just asking you. So because then if you answered the way that we thought was healthy, we didn't even say anything. We're like, okay, then sounds like you thought that out.
But that's why you guys were always asking questions. When we had an issue, you would never give us the answer. You'd always sit back and be like, okay, well, what do you want to do? How would you fix it? We'd have to walk you through our process of how we would fix it, and then you would add something in. And I definitely think I'll be taking that when I have.
We would ask you what the outcome you wanted too. We would say,
Yeah.
what is the outcome you want? Because you can be right and get what you want and not get the outcome.
You taught us how
So
to problem solve and critical think, but while also letting us do the work. It wasn't, hey, how would you solve this problem? And then telling us how to solve it. It was, you need to go figure that out.
Yeah, I'm
And
just
then
like
we go figure it out. We come back and say, hey, is this a good idea? Like Brantley said, yeah, that's great. Or, hey, here's some things you need to think about. And
I think I'll take
I
that
agree.
into
That's a good
parenting
point.
whenever I have my crotch goblins running around.
You can thank your Mimi for that, because Mimi taught 6th grade science, which is a lot of critical thinking for 30-something years. And one of the things that she said to me was, she said, I'm seeing a change where critical thinking is not taught in school. Make sure you teach the kids that. And so we made a very conscious decision to teach you that, because our other thought was this: you're not going to be with us forever. And so if we just teach you what to think and not how to think,
Agreed.
when you get out of the house, it could take one big wind and you could be knocked down. We wanted to teach you how to think, how to do research, how to do your homework, how to figure out what you really thought about something. And I loved that part of raising you. I remember Mama said, Michele, you talk to them like they're little adults. And I said, well, I talk to them and try to help them understand for whatever age they are. And we just changed it as you got bigger.
They don't stay piglets forever.
They don't stay piglets forever. Okay, Harrison, you had a question you wanted to ask. What was that?
I was going to let you ask it because it would have been more
No.
funny if you did.
Ask it.
This is
Someone
one from Pop, but he wanted to know, how'd you ever get so sweet?
else. Okay.
And I knew that at least get a laugh out of you.
All right.
How did you
Mom
get
was
so?
supposed to ask it.
How did you get so sweet, Brantley?
Not being related to you guys. Thank you.
Harrison, you had another question that you wanted to ask me. It had to do with being. You got it.
It was, what was the biggest challenge you faced as you began your entrepreneurial journey, and why you still played the role of mom? And then how has being an entrepreneur helped you become a better mom?
The biggest challenge that, if I were to look back over all of my 20 years, from you guys being 2 and 4 to 22 and 24, and the biggest challenge of being an entrepreneur and being a mom was balance and being present. I remember specifically, it was what Brantley was talking about, and you talked about whether it was walking upstairs out of the workroom. I didn't have the decompression. I didn't get an hour drive home or a 30-minute drive home. I didn't get any of that where I could kind of switch my mental gears. And so I could go from being a business owner in the middle of a very difficult conversation to trying to help you guys get a snack, to going back to putting in a load of laundry, to going back, you know what I mean? So having to switch gears like that all the time and work at the highest level, that was a challenge for me. Being able to constantly get my work done, know what it was, reach and attain my goals while at the same time parenting you and not making you all feel neglect, especially when there were other moms around me who were doing and giving to their children a lot more than I was, as far as they were making every snack, they were sitting with them for everything. And there was some mom-to-mom guilt going where they would make comments, you don't do that for your children, you don't do that for your kids. And I would sit back and think, gosh, was I supposed to be doing that for my kids? Because I thought I was raising adults, not big kids. And so I remember one of the women at church, Miss Shirley, she said to me, and Miss Dorothy, I was a young mom, and I was in tears one day at a Bible study, and I made the comment, I think I'm terrible as a mom. I think I'm terrible as a business owner. Like, I just can't do this. And I remember her saying, Michele, you are raising 2 adult men. They are little boys right now, but you're raising adult men. And so the goal is, if they can do it, you let them do it. Don't step in and do for them what they need to learn to do for themselves. And I listened to those older women and not to the women of my own generation. That's the truth. And so even they gave me an example of, if you want them to get their own snack, you put a basket of their approved snacks and you tell them you can go into this drawer and get a snack.
Approved snacks.
You can go, you know what I mean though, because you guys would come ask and I would already have them in single serving packages or whatever. And then they said to me, and if you want them to pour their own milk and the gallon is too heavy, buy 2 half gallons. Like, put it in a place that they can do it. Make them self-sufficient. And then when they leave your home, they will be men and not big boys. And so I listened to that. And constantly as you grew up, that's why your chores increased. That's why the work you had to do increased. That's why we didn't solve it for you. That's why we made you go buy groceries for the family. We made you open your own bank accounts. Do you remember me taking you to the bank and the woman looking over at me? You had your deposit slips and she looked over me. I said, these aren't my accounts. They're theirs. They can handle it. And you guys walked up to the window and handled your own banking business. You were in middle school. And when we walked away, I remember the banker looking at me and going, thank you. And then you've both been served well by that in college. Make your own appointments. Here are the names of the doctors. Go do that yourself. I don't need to do that for you. Granted, you were 18 and, 17, 18 years old. We were getting you ready to go off. But I think that was a hard thing for me, was feeling like I should have done more for you. But then realizing by doing those things, I was in some ways crippling you. And so I had to, you remember, Harrison, you made the comment, they used to be so angry when we would make you strip the bed or clean the bathroom. But then those were things later when you got off on your own that you were thankful you knew how to do.
Yeah, because all the other cats didn't know how to do it.
They didn't know how to do it. And I remember thinking to myself, I didn't want to make you have to do those things. I mean, I didn't want to do them either, but I didn't want to have to make you do those things, especially not when some of the other moms were out doing it for their kids. And I was feeling guilty on that side. So I think that whole being present and knowing how much to let you do on your own and when to step in and when not to step in. I'm thankful now that we did it the way we did it, because I think you guys have been able, Harrison, you've been able to go out, buy a house, take care of things, really step into adulthood. And that's what your dad and I wanted so much. And Brantley,
like a big jump.
It was a jump.
It was like a diving board along with tall guys. It was like, got to be every bit of 100 foot. And I just belly flopped right off that sucker. So.
But you've done a good job at it. And B, you're just months away from, graduating college and doing your thing. So you guys are doing it. But I got to tell you, during those years, I struggled.
Harrison
doing good.
Harrison just got a house. He's got a full-time job. He's doing great. Brantley, graduating soon. All right.
You have a job waiting on you, so stop.
What are those old VHS? Coming soon to DVD.
Yeah, coming soon to DVD for you to own or something.
Well, that's what
Williams.
That's what you got coming.
And I still
But you see
can't
what I'm saying.
fold fitted sheets, so I blame you for
Listen,
that.
fun fact, somebody asked me, it was an older gentleman, asked me on the
Hurry
job
up, Harrison.
site.
I have questions to ask.
Asked me on a job site what separated me from the rest of my generation. And I straight up looked him in the face and said, I can fold a fitted sheet. And he was like, that's valid. I was like, just saying.
See, look at those things I taught you how to do. But that would be hard.
Teach me how to do that. I don't know how to fold a fitted sheet.
We have a lesson as soon as this podcast taping is over.
No, it's in my place. I got plenty.
And then how has being an entrepreneur helped me be a better mother? I think that's what you asked me. I think it was part of that whole thing. I couldn't dote on you. I couldn't sit with you. I couldn't helicopter you because I had other things to do. Mm-hmm. If I had not had those outside things to do, I may have fallen into the trap of doing too much for you. Maybe, maybe not. But I think it's made me conscious of all of my choices and decisions.
Okay.
So, all right, Brantley, what's your question?
Purified or filtered water? Like, which one's better?
I don't really know that I care.
This is the kind of questions I'm here for. This is what I thought this is what we were doing.
This is what we're doing.
I thought it was a 20-question questionnaire. That's not.
Is that right? You missed it. That's the next podcast. I don't care. I'll drink either.
No.
I have to choose. You make me choose. Make me on it.
Filtered.
Purified.
Why?
Because I don't know the difference, and it sounds good, and it was first in the list. Classic.
How has H&I influenced your entrepreneur attitude?
Oh, that was a good one, little B.
Took that from online, baby.
Yeah, I say that doesn't sound like something Brantley would write.
Actually, it does. Read it one more time. I got too busy laughing at you.
How has H&I influenced your entrepreneur attitude?
How have you two influenced my entrepreneur? You know what I'll tell you what it was. I knew that I set my goals up. I wanted you to see them. And I was, from the time that you were little, your dad and I made the comment that, things started shifting. There is this when I first came home from work, there was the moms who were at corporate, the moms who stayed home. There weren't a lot of moms in the middle who did what I did, which was I'm staying home, but I got, as we would call it today, a side hustle. That wasn't going on 20 years ago the same way and the same. And so I kind of always felt like I never fit with the other moms. I didn't fit with those that were just staying home, and I didn't really fit with those who were all corporate. But I also realized that in 20 years, your wives would either want to work, they might need to work for your family to function. And I wanted you to see what that might look like in a different setting than it had to be one or the other. So I wanted you to see that family could be made up in a multitude of ways with people doing a multitude of jobs and tasks. And so I think that influenced me being an entrepreneur. And honestly, I wanted to be home with you boys. I could have gone back to corporate at any point. And your dad and I talked about it multiple times throughout the years. But we wanted me to be here when you got off that bus, when you came home. I wanted to be here. He wanted me to be here. It was kind of our joint goal for our family. And entrepreneurship fit into that. It fit.
All right, last question. Sneeze outright or hold it in and fight it?
Oh, sneeze outright. And when I start, I got to do about 12 to 16 at a time.
Yeah, what's the
Yeah,
record?
you have a problem.
I know.
What was the record?
Your dad says
You had
it's
a
my
number, right?
superpower. It was about 16 sneezes in a row when I start.
That's a pretty good number.
It's usually at 9:30 at night.
There is a good time to count when that is.
Y'all
We
are
can harness
crazy.
that.
Even after yelling
You
at her,
think that's
she does
renewable
not stop.
energy?
We can try to harness it.
How do we do that?
Oh, stop. We're not harnessing it. Y'all are nuts.
Wait, this is problem solving. We just talked
Okay,
about
we're not going to problem
We're
solve.
being entrepreneurial.
You're entrepreneurial?
Yeah, you go.
That big-
How was that again?
No.
So any other questions that you all have?
I guess, what are you most excited to see out of your business? And, what are you most excited to see in 2020?
Ah,
Her 30th wedding anniversary.
that is true. It will be my 30th wedding anniversary, but that's not for the business. But my business is going to be buying us a trip to go somewhere for our 30th anniversary.
Not us, Harrison.
No, not
Yeah.
you two. You don't get to go.
No, Harrison was like,
yes. No, it's not
Yes.
your dad and
A
I.
vacation.
Oh, you ding dong. I think my biggest goal in 2020, honestly, is I'm doing a couple of things. I am trying to create more of that time and space that you mentioned to do something for myself. And so I've carved out vacation time already for the entire year. I've carved out time to go do watercolor classes, Pilates classes, and some other fun stuff so that I can be back to having a little more family focus than just work.
Isn't
Can we
Pilates,
expect you to run for president in 2020?
No, you
isn't
cannot.
Pilates just fancy stretching?
It is, and I love it.
Close, but then they pump up the heat. So they just all
No,
sweat
it
together.
is not. That
Isn't
is
that
hot
not-
yoga. You're like
that's not the
mixing
same thing?
things. No.
About, looks like.
Oh, go back to the gym. Just go to
Oh.
the gym, dude.
I'm the only one in the family that goes.
Yeah, do you know why?
I go to Pilates. Brantley, do you have any further questions? No.
No.
No, I'm just excited to be here.
Oh my gosh.
Well, thank you, boys. I do appreciate you coming and talking and sharing. It was interesting to hear your opinions. Let me ask, all right, I got one last question for you. If there is a mom or a dad listening who has kids and is feeling guilt about how to manage it all,
How to manage it all? Or
How to
they should be
manage it.
doing
how to manage, or how the entrepreneur, like the guilt that I told you that I felt, and you were telling me that you guys never really saw the side of it that I was so worried about, that it didn't
I'd
scar
say-
you.
I would say, maybe this may not be the correct answer, but what I would do is I think I'd go to your kid and say, hey, and first off, just be honest with them. Ask them, does it bother you that mom or dad works or does this? And then they say, yeah, this irritates me. I don't like this, or blah, blah, blah. Then just sit down and just
Talk
like
about
you guys and explain, hey, this is what they do. And if you don't want mom to work, this is what you don't get anymore.
Yeah, we
You're
did
not
do
gonna
that
go vacations
conversation.
anymore. You're not going to get this. We're not going to do this. We can't afford to do this. Or, now I get to be with you everywhere you go. You know what I mean? Or now we're going to go outside and play all day long.
Right.
But just be honest and lay it out. Hey, this is why mom or this is why dad does this. How does it make you feel? And then explain it to them. And I'm sure 100% of the time, unless they're 4 years old and they don't grasp it yet, but even that's maturing, they'll say, "Oh, I understand. I get that." And you'll find most kids, most young adults or teenagers say, "I understand why my mom has to work," and they respect that and they support that. And if
Yeah.
they don't, that's a larger problem.
I think that's a great idea than just having open conversation.
If your kid's under the age of 13, they're probably not going to understand as much. So when they do get home from work or school, they get off the bus, they're done with their homework. When they come in to say hello or take 5 minutes from work or 10 minutes from work, talk to them about their day. Make sure that you're able to unplug, even just for a brief minute, to make them feel like, yes, you're working, but their work is not more important than them. So if you have to work after dinner, make sure when you eat dinner, you unplug for that 45 minutes that you're sitting down with your family.
Yeah, those are good points.
And if they're over the age of 13, they're adults, they know better. And don't.
Adults.
Yeah, if they're over the age of 13, just guilt trip them.
Yeah, don't take grief from your kids.
Oh,
If
good
they're over the age of 13.
If they're over the age of 13, they're men.
Yeah.
And
leave
they're
them alone.
young women.
Yeah. Tell them they can
It's a good thing we
tell them
use
they
that
can get
with
a
you.
job and pay the bills.
That's a good thing we do that for you.
14, you're allowed to get a job. So
You
bust
are
the plate. Bust the plate.
You're allowed to work
And
14.
Yeah,
Oh,
Publix.
They hire.
do they really?
Absolutely.
14?
Yeah. If
Absolutely.
your kid's not grateful, they're hiring in construction sites.
That-
Guarantee you.
Take all their shoelaces.
Oh,
Not their
interesting tactic.
shoes,
Tell me
just
about
the
this,
shoelaces.
Interesting.
y'all are
Go
crazy.
in. Please dive.
It's a good thing we didn't do that for you at 13. Well, thank you both for coming. Thank you for your time today. I love you both very much. And it'll be interesting to see how this entrepreneurial journey does affect both of
What
you.
category in podcast is in comedy? Could it ought to be?
Okay, I'll put it in the comedy.
When's
I'll
this
add a
coming
new
out?
one. Come out
Yeah. When's this come out?
soon.
When do we get to hear
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Within 3 or 4 weeks.
3-4 weeks.
Yeah, so get ready.
By that time, I'm going to forget we even did this.
Yeah.
Then we'll have to do another.
I'm excited. This is great. I'm ready to do it again.
Now
Oh,
you can
Lord.
hear what everybody else hears.
I know. It's gonna be great.
It's terrible.
All right, guys. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep.